As World War I rolled around, most countries had had some time to reflect on the War of 1870 and build even larger guns able to reach out and greet their enemies over 30-40 kilometers away. Of course, the pinnacle of these would begin their lives on dreadnoughts or German battlecruisers. And after witnessing the HMS Dreadnought, the Germans had a quick thought and figured we want one of those too. With bigger guns, of course, because, Prussia. So, for Germany to increase the power of their naval artillery, in order for the construction of the 38-centimeter SKL-45 and 35-centimeter SKL-45 pieces, intended to arm the future German battleships and cruisers. Now, the 38-centimeter SKL-45 gun was designed to push a 750-kilogram projectile at an initial speed of 800 meters a second, allowing a maximum range of 20,250 meters from double mounts. The maximum elevation of the ship mount was limited to 16 degrees on the ship. However, of course, tested on land first at Meppen Proving Grounds in 1914, after Krupp, of course who else, had built the first matching pair, along with other supporting parts and spares. And then peace became unfashionable, and the German army began its quick step across Belgium and France, aiming for Paris over Verdun, all of which were surrounded by forts. Now the ships were not near complete, and the need for a heavy siege gun arose. And as German engineers rummaged through their kits, out rolled a couple of brand new, just tested 38-centimeter guns with spare parts and all. As the war by October 1914 had stalled outside Verdun and Antwerp, it was time to bring up big guns and their mounts and giant shells. And since the German army was hell-bent on shopping in Paris by Christmas, the guns were brought to France with their mounts. Now, as some of you may have suspected, a naval ship gun mount or turret and a land field cannon mount is not exactly the same, nor were the experimental testing mounts designed for anything but testing. So, more sleepless nights for the German engineers, and implementation was complicated and required the construction of a long concrete platform. In addition, these mounts had a vertical pointing limited to 24 degrees and a horizontal pointing to 30 degrees, reducing the range and field of use of the weapons. And of course, that was the entire point, so that had to be fixed, and under field conditions. Under the guise of field engineers, we figured it out as they went, they said, and increased the vertical angle and range of the guns by inclining the concrete platform upon which they sat by 5 degrees, bringing the maximum elevation of the mounts to 29 degrees and allowing a maximum range of 27,000 meters using the 750-kilogram shell. The first 38-centimeter SKL-45 gun were fired on 15 February 1915 against the fort of Douaumont, and we have all seen how that did. Meanwhile, Krupp engineers and marine gunners continued their ballistics tests at Meppen using the Krupp prototype 35.5-centimeter piece mounted on a special mount, allowing for greater elevation of the gun. On October 21st, this range was near 49 kilometers, and later it would reach 62 kilometers with shells of 344 kilograms. These tests allowed the specific laws of projectile ballistics reaching the stratosphere with previous unparalleled ranges, thus paving the way for the possibility of making very long-range shots on the enemy's rear front. It improved the range of the 38-centimeter, but led mainly to the creation in 1918 of the Paris gun, derived from the 35-centimeter gun. 6 mounts were ordered on October 1914. They had to offer a vertical pointing at 45 degrees and a horizontal firing range that could be exceeded to all azimuths. The initial position for the 6 mounts were built in 1915. Out of the total 10 select locations, only 8 were finally constructed and occupied alternately during the war years until 1916. In June 1916, 4 new high-powered mounts were put in control at Krupp. They were very similar to the 6 built in 1916, but their maximum vertical firing angle had been increased to 55 degrees to allow the range of projectiles to be improved. The German army turned late towards the use of heavy parts on railroad. The construction of the Eisenbahn for the 38-centimeter cannon was not undertaken until the end of 1917. This mount could be used for firing from a prepared railway track, with a limited range, in this case of 22,000 meters. But above all, these mounts were designed to be used on platforms of a very small size and discrete implementation, allowing the whole power of fire not to be taken off the range at 47,500 meters. The first built platforms still required major preparatory work because they were built in cement and supported a bolted hub allowing all-out firing at 55 degrees. These first models were built in the winter of 1917-18 in preparation for spring offensives. The French counteroffensives of 18 July 1918 forced, however, the Germans to evacuate the wing of the position of the Chalet Woods. However, they could not evacuate the hub and summary disassembled platform that was captured by the 152nd Infantry Regiment. And here we are today outside Verdun in one of the original gun mounts. I mean, this is a real bolt. This is a Navy-sized bolt. Hey, I can almost stand up through this. Another room. There you go. Through this full of gunk. This leads to the other side. That's collapsed in the middle there. Corrugated metal roof. What do I hear? Water running. What's in there? What's coming in here? Oh, okay. Let's see where I'm going. Yeah, the other room. Sorry about the bounce. Wow, this is fun. I love this place. This is the coolest gun position I've ever seen. Ha! Ha! You ready yet? Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine as much. So the tunnel, there's tunnels leading into the ammunition storage from both rooms. There's two separate compartments, that side and the other side, left and a right, where everything, well, these are connected by a tunnel. And the ammunition shaft over there is connected to this room down here. They're connected by a tunnel to this shaft left over there. Brilliant.
So how do they let the shaft into the roof?
Yeah, that's the thing, because
there must be some sort of crane, some hoist.
there must have been a crane, but what are the shells coming up or going down? The munition shafts. Because
Yes.
the shells would be coming up because the breech of the gun would be where you're standing, wouldn't it? The breech is not going to be down here. Well, wait a minute, it might have been. But you can't lift these heavy shells out of these small holes, these small tunnels, and over to the breech. So there must have been a crane or something. I wonder if we can't find pictures of this place when it was somewhat, you know, intact-ish. This is one heavy steel plate too.
Yeah.
This is good 10 centimeters of armor, yeah.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's about eight segments of it.
Wow. This munition lift, if there's going to be it looks like there's a grate over there, and I'm just wondering if there's a way to put the shells vertically down there and then slide them up here. I'll let you know in a minute.
I'm so glad I didn't bring my gloves. I left them in the car. Yeah, well.
My car?
No, my car. Yes, you can sit there and shout motivational slogans. Then I feel like a German shell here, crawling down sideways into something that looks wet and muddy, which I am now starting to slide down. All right, I'll go back down on my side. I'm glad I left my boots in the car too, and I'm taking my soft.
Set them down. What size is these?
All right, so, well, this is pretty simple. Here's just a room with a side room. There's a little alcove there, a room over there.
Two, not two.
Yeah, I think the shells came down over there.
You know why there are two ammunition bits?
Huh?
One for shells and one for cases.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think there's a little descent over there. We can see that from above, maybe. It's pretty damn muddy and wet down here. Not very, just enough for me to not want to swim over there because I don't know how deep this mud is. I might get stuck in it. All right. I'll now pretend I'm a German shell crawling back up again, doing my leg training, crab walk. You know,
Spectacular.
I used to punish people by making them walk this way. So there's one mini rail. But little, I think there was a little.
Oh, it stops there, does it? This outside rail?
No, it continues. Goes all the way down. And of course it's slightly flooded, as everything else. Rapid should be safe here. It's one big hole. I want to bet you that this is the shell intake. Or do you drop the shells in here into the storage?
That would be about the length of the shell.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
15 inch.
There's a staircase, so I was wrong, I guess. This is a staircase. So this is a staircase down to the other side where I was. Well, I'm glad they bolted it since I can crawl in the other way, but all right. I'm glad they have a plan here. So how did the shells get in and out of this place? Well, here's a picture of it. What more could you possibly ask for?
380, it's 15 inch. And they fired a Sanmene hood. Well. That's not very sporting.
Really?
Well, it's a nice little town, but why would you want to fire anything at Sanmene hood?
I mean, I would imagine somebody was there they were mad at.
It's a railway.
Here
On this shelter, there's actually mounts, or used to be mounts protruding. I keep wanting to see crane mounts. There's no way they could lift these things. There must have been cranes, and I don't know if the crane was mounted on the actual gun or somewhere else. And here's the original rail of the gunner's entrance to the munition shelter. These rails are original. That's nice. What a hell of a place.
Push the shell forward.
So this was like a naval gun.
Yeah.
They depressed the guns into horizontal.
And then
In order to load this gun, it would have to depress, it would have to turn to one of these two indents,
yeah.
and then come back to position. That's a hell of a... Okay, that's where the time goes.
Yeah, a shot every 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Now there are several more of these large gun positions, and several of these became coastal guns in a very interesting configuration, like here in Batterie Pommern. It was the world's biggest gun in 1917. This gun had a modified design by Krupp compared to the earlier German 38cm guns. The new modification allowed the gun to fire at a 50-kilometer range. The 15-inch, 38cm long-range gun was protected by armor and mounted on a steel bridge, having to pivot in front. The rear part of the gun traveling along a circular rail track in a concrete pit of about 70 feet, about 21 meters in diameter. The gun was maneuvered by means of electric motors. On either side were large shelters in reinforced concrete. In front of it and below the platform was electric generator groups. But if you look at this huge gun, does it not remind you of something from the Second World War? I'm not entirely sure how many components this design have in common with what we still see sitting in Norway today. But on that note, I do think it's time to return back there and take a closer look. See you in Norway.
My name is Tino Struckmann. I run Lost Battlefields. Every year, I travel around the world to try to bring you to all the most interesting historical military locations from modern wars and the World War II special projects, battlefields, forts, fortresses, and tunnels, everything else. Things you may not be able to see or go to yourselves. Please join me on Patreon or join Lost Battlefields through the website so you get access to all my files and my notes. It really does help, and like, follow, share here on the channel if you can. That helps too.